Welcome back to another episode of If They Won't Listen. It is space. It's made in a HollyWood basement. And as with me always is beaming aboard.
Beam me aboard. Energize.
You know it.
Yeah, Captain Spencer.
Captain.
How we doing tonight? What's the story? How you doing, Doctor? You Doctor Lieutenant? You got two rankings in one shot. Look at you.
Can still
what?
be,
You 32?
You could be a doctor and be a lieutenant commander. It's possible. I think that's what Crusher was on the Enterprise D, or even what's her name? Deanna Troi. I think she was the lieutenant commander and she was the ship's counselor.
Yes, she was. She counseled a lot of minds.
She counseled a lot of minds, baby. Anyways, we back. Just a really quick rundown what's happening at my in a tanky right now, and the reason why I'm in a tanky is because the AC broke.
Oh, finally shit the bed hit the fan. The shit hit the bed.
I got the fan going, but that ain't enough. Ain't enough.
And it's an exterior one, right? So you gotta get a new HVAC unit.
Probably. There's a whole story about it. It gets really complicated. Like always talking about it on the main show, but long story short, it's been a complicated repair over the last month, and it broke down again.
God damn it!
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But in the meantime, I was able to watch the Star Trek movie yesterday, get as much as my research done in the same sitting, in a house that was 30 degrees Celsius.
Jeez, buddy.
It was freaking.
I love your commitment.
I do my best. Damn it.
Damn it.
All right. What's up with you?
What's up with me?
What's up with you?
I don't know. Just, I sat down. I said, let me watch Generations. And, I was enjoying a really solid film.
Yes.
It's a solid. Let me ask you something, Lieutenant. When was, by the way, I love your little movements over there.
What, this?
No, your movements. Yeah, that.
Okay, got it.
It's very nice.
All right.
What was your first time? Have you seen this before?
This is my second time watching this movie.
This is your second time watching this movie.
Because I got into Star Trek. But the first time was when I got into Generations this year, and I decided, let me watch the Next Generation movies. Like I was more interested in watching those than any of the ones of the original series, because I felt maybe I might be a little lost in things, whatever. Turns out that wasn't even the case, because I watched all 6 of those with watching maybe that much of the original Star Trek. But I've watched at least 2 seasons of Next Generation. So then I decided I want to jump into Generations, the movie, and see what it's like. And that I watched that earlier this year, by maybe a couple months prior to this whole viewing party that we're doing.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So what was your takeaway from it the first time?
It's kind of the same thing how I felt this time. It's a really nice long episode.
You think it's like a really nice long episode?
It's just a solid, very long, extended episodes that goes from being an hour to a 2-hour movie. And I mean, when I went and did more research, find out that it was actually a movie theater movie, I was kind of a bit surprised, because it really was. Like if I had to put my thoughts out now, it's a really long episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I thought it was honestly a TV movie.
Got it. All right, that's interesting. I mean, I'll be honest. The first time I watched it, I think it was like on HBO.
Yeah.
And when it first released on HBO, so I was like a kid, and I remember watching that like a lot, but not knowing Star Trek fully fully for what it is. Just having this one movie play all the time and being like, oh, this is Star Trek. and I'm young. I have no understanding what any of this shit means. But for some reason, I'm attracted to it in some way.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah.
And that's how I always felt about the series. And I've never really watched all that much either. I'm with you.
There's something really alluring about it as like a adolescent, but for the commitment to make to it just seemed too heavy.
I mean, you're talking how many episodes by the time you're a teenager, you already had the original series plus the movies, the Next Generation plus at least two movies, because let's say 98.
First
Right.
contact, at least by first yeah.
Right. And then plus you also had Voyager and Deep Space Nine going on between 94 to 2000.
Yeah, so let's say I probably wasn't. When did Generations come out? 94?
94.
All right, so yeah, I was out with Generations, Deep Space Nine, and TNG at that point.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine had already come out that year.
But see, it was too much boggling for me. So to me, to kind of, to make it a little less heavy, Star Wars was being re-released pretty soon. So I was like, oh, let me just do that then.
Yeah.
And like back then, it was like all I had to do was be concerned about 3 films and perhaps like an Ewok Christmas special. But like,
okay,
but that was it.
Okay, we have to now watch the holiday special for our Christmas special.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, we have to do that.
We have to do that.
All right.
Is it on Disney Plus?
No, it is not because George Lucas refuses to recognize the film.
Man, what else is new?
I mean, you can watch it on YouTube with all the commercials still on it, but that were on when it originally aired.
You want to hear an interesting story about George Lucas?
Tell me about it.
His film was selected to be in the National Archives of Films.
Right.
Which is like the most humble kind of appreciation you could get for your film from the government.
Right.
So his film was picked. And they were like, yeah, we want the 1977 Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, but he tried to give him the digital remasters. I know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
and,
you know
and,
this.
And I know, yeah. But yeah, finish your story.
Well, no, we'll just pause there and leave it on a cliffhanger for when we actually get to Star Wars.
All right. I love it. All right. Good.
Anyway, back to Star Trek. Let's talk. What was our opinions about this movie this time?
So this is the 7th movie in the Star Trek film.
Yes.
It was story by I brought this up instead. I had it on my phone, but this is actually easier for me. So it was story by Rick Berman, Ronald D. Moore, and Brandon Barga, who you will know better as writers for both The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Ronald Moore, also known as Ron Moore, worked with Brandon Barga to write the whole screenplay. The movie was produced by Rick Berman. Yeah. It was directed by David Carson, who, funny enough, is mostly known for directing TV series. So this included Doogie Howser, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and another Sherlock Holmes series, LA Law, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine.
So let me stop you right. First of all, incredible research. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I really love the fine work you put into this show. It's intellectually mind-boggling in a good way, in a great way. Having said that, the main topic at hand with the producers, the writers, the director, I think it's really cool that they brought in the writers to the TV show writers do a movie version, kind of do a little collaboration. I think that was a really best of intentions there.
Yeah.
I think what really, the new regime of a new producer, because we had previous producers before this. Who was the nice gentleman that did Star Trek 2 through 4?
Why you're making me space on his name?
Well, you're Mr. Knowledge. You're the
that's actually and the funny thing is that's written on a notepad, which I have now long since thrown away. Right. All right. He did all of them from Wrath of Khan all the way up until the 6th Actually, no, didn't do. He did the fifth movie, or he skipped
did
the
the
fifth
fifth.
movie.
He skipped the fifth.
Yeah,
So
he skipped the
2,
fifth,
3, 4, and 6.
and then 6. Harv Bennett, and you would start with an H. Harv Bennett.
Harv Bennett, yeah. Now, Harv Bennett's not in this, and you could feel his loss in this film.
And this is 3 years after Undiscovered Country.
And Undiscovered Country kind of looked like another 80s film to a degree, as opposed to what we see in this picture, where it's a lot more, where it's cleaner.
Oh yeah, it's especially in terms of its visual effects.
Yes,
clean.
Chris, like I would have to say this is the best special effects we've gotten in the Star Trek films so far.
Yeah, definitely.
Like sky's the limit now. Sky's the limit. Like I love those practical effects that they showed of the ships and everything, especially in the motion picture. Like the way they kept doing all their little signature moves with showing the ship and introduction, the de-docking. Like it's all incredible.
Yeah, it really is, and it looks so good on my TV.
It does. But now we finally get the CGI effects, and I have to admit, the opening credits with that champagne bottle kind of makes me a little weary in the beginning, because you could tell how you
can tell that it was just a CGI bottle flying through space. Which, by the way, I thought that was so funny because they make it. Almost makes it look like it's a bottle just randomly flying through the depths of space, but then it all of a sudden hits the side of the Enterprise B.
Yes. And like that again, that's a nice little apropos to or a nice little homage to the naval. Like what Nicholas Myers brought to Star Trek was the whole idea of it being a naval mindset. And with, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you live in Florida, so I would imagine that like anytime you get a new ship, boat, yacht, whatever it could be, you take a bottle of champagne, you hit it against the
people still do that.
Yeah,
people still do that.
And they do it with this, which is just as awesome.
They christened it.
Like, I love the idea that's something they still do, but the execution to it, I was just like, you lost me.
So
you lost me. This is jarring.
I don't know. How much do you know about ship christening?
I know enough to know that they christen a ship with a champagne bottle.
Do you know what happens if the bottle doesn't break?
It's bad luck.
It's not just bad luck, but they don't actually launch the ship out for months until they can do it again.
Months? What, for like months. 7 months? 7 months.
It's I'm right now I'm kind of just doing a quick, I'm doing a quick duck go on it, and just trying to find a good article.
Not a product placement, but if you feel like shipping in, please do.
What happens if the bottle doesn't break during a ship christening? But yeah, it's something that's been done. It's got a sort of religious overtone to it. But let me see. Yeah, if the ship bottle doesn't break, this is from, I'm just clicking on like the first, about the second or third result here on my thing. It says better luck next time. What ship? I think it's like a few months. They wait a few months before they just before they just launch the ship back out, because it is you're right. Because if you do it and the bottle doesn't break, it's considered bad luck.
Yeah. It's
which
really
I thought,
funny.
Which would have been great if the bottle didn't break.
It would be great. Like it would have been great, like if they kind of like did like almost like a Futurama type of joke to it, where it kind of just pings off the ship, and then goes into a whole other direction altogether. Like that would be fucking fun.
That would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious. I wouldn't lie. I don't lie. But yeah, it was. But the CGI is just, it's great though. I mean, overall, it's a great movie. Do you have? It gets
great later on, but that champagne bottle in the beginning is just fucking jarring.
It really, yeah. It's the most. It's a really weird way to kind of start the movie. You're
Yeah.
right. It's a rocky start.
Yes.
It's a rocky,
Yes.
which is ironic.
Just for the CGI alone, not so much for the opening of a story.
But it kind of is ironic because afterwards, I overall I didn't think the film was all that great, just as an opinion. But we'll get a little bit more into that.
We will. I'm really excited. I think I actually cracked it this time, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So
yeah.
let's get to. So now we see the crew, right?
Yes, you see the crew with a new crew, but they bring on this maiden voyage for the Enterprise B. They bring along 3 of the original crew members of the Enterprise, which included Captain Kirk, not an admiral, Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
James, I was gonna say James.
Well, you know
T.
why he's still probably captain.
Well, he can't. He was told that he can never rank past that now.
Yes, because of what happened with the Klingons.
Yep.
And the whole Genesis program.
Yep. Right. Exactly. And then
isn't that such a great long story arc that you don't even realize how like it never boggles you down. You're just like, oh yeah, that thing was a thing that lasted 3 or 4 movies, and like, you know what? Wasn't that bad? I liked it.
Kirk knew what he was getting into. Along with Kirk is Pavel.
Oh,
yeah, Pavel.
Which one was
Pavel. Really? You don't know him?
Scotty?
Not Scotty. That's Montgomery Scott. That's Montgomery Scott. No. Pavel Chekhov.
Chekhov.
Played by Walter Koenig. They were the only 3 people that showed up for this movie. I mean, Kirk had to show up no matter what, but they wanted Nimoy and they wanted Bones to be there, but they politely declined.
No, Bones couldn't do it because he couldn't get the insurance for the movie.
Interesting.
So like you have to go through a physical and like it assesses like how much you're essentially like it's almost like that movie Along Came Polly where Ben Stiller's like the guy who figures out somebody's like worth of life, and it's like how like, you know, safe are you? And he's got that one client who's completely like, you know, fucking like out there, and therefore he's like a high liability.
Uh-huh. I've never seen the movie. Continue.
Oh, you never seen the movie? All right. Well, anyway, so that's kind of how I feel. Like there's somebody there who's kind of like, oh, this is going to get a little pricey, but, you know, maybe we should suck in. And like, there's somebody else who's like, no, let's just keep going. Anyway, that was my point.
I mean, they were, production was kind of was under a tight, what's the word I'm looking for?
I meant that for Bones.
Oh.
I meant that for Bones. Bones couldn't get the insurance to be in the film, and that's why I was comparing it to that character from Along Came Polly.
Okay.
Anyway, Scotty was just like, hey, anybody can read these lines, and it won't mean dick. And he saw the film, and he was like, yeah, I called it. Didn't I call it? And Ura's like, dude, just shut up. I'm trying to watch the movie with my family.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so we open up on this christening and this maiden voyage where something goes wrong with some sort of space anomaly where they have to do a rescue, but the ship is severely under-equipped, which Captain Kirk, who's watching from the sidelines, you get a lot of his you get a lot of good Shatner facial acting in this opening scene where he wants to say things but he can't, so it's a lot of facial acting.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? There's just
this is one of his best performances, facial wise, physically. Like the physical performance of him is one of his best throughout this whole series.
Yeah, he does really well to kind of show that he wants to say something, but he's got to button his lip, unfortunately, because he knows that he's no longer the captain of the ship and he has to let someone else sit in it. And there was even that point when during the rescue, when they had to do the reverse on the dish to send out a pulse.
Yeah.
When he went down there, originally the current captain was who was played by Alan Ruck, by the way. You might know him
Yeah.
better as Ferris Bueller's friend.
Cameron.
Cameron, exactly. Yeah, Captain John Harriman, played by Alan Ruck, who was going to go down
Or in
there originally.
Succession.
What
Have
was
you
that?
seen Succession?
No.
Oh, dude, he's in Succession. Check it out if you can.
Okay. And I will. I'll add it to the list. And so he goes, but then Captain Kirk decides to switch spots with him because he knows that it's not my place to be in the seat. It's actually your place to be in this seat. And then we lose Captain Kirk. Long story short, we lose Captain Kirk, but you're introduced to two characters. The main antagonist of the movie, and Whoopi Goldberg's character, Guinan.
So Sauron and
Sauron. Sauron, played by, of course, the illustrious actor Malcolm McDowell.
God, I love that guy's such a good actor.
He's got a great acting record. Just go on IMDb, you'll see all the hundreds of stuff that he's done. He's worked with Patrick Stewart on stage, actually, and
that's awesome.
Wanted to do this movie because he thought it would be great to be the guy that kills Captain Kirk. One of his.
I love how much of an like he's like, I like to be the villain in the story, and this is a great villain story. This is the guy that kills Captain Kirk. Sign me up.
I'm all about it.
I'm all about it.
He's all about it.
What are you going to pay me? We're going to pay you $350 plus a Kit Kat bar. Sold.
Throw in 2 more Kit Kats and I'm good. I mean, not even a full bar. I just want 2 more sticks of it. That's it. So you give me 1 big bar of it, but then 2 more sticks on top of that bar.
You know what? Fuck it. Just give me 4 in the family size.
Wow. Wow. No one ever shared those with family. I never did.
I didn't have enough family to share it with.
I didn't have enough friends to share it with. All right. Take us through what happens after Captain Kirk is presumed dead.
So we get introduced to the new crew, the naval colonial crew of TNG.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say this. No, I'm gonna say it for that.
You wanna wait?
I wanna wait.
You wanna think he's got, guys, give him a second. He needs a moment to think about, so he could properly articulate his words in an eloquent manner. That's what he's looking to do. But in the meantime, I can tell you that shooting location for the film was shot on the Lady Washington, which is a replica of a ship that was the first ship to ever sail to Japan from America. And it was shot on the Marina del Rey. They sailed out a couple miles out of that Bay Area in Los Angeles to shoot that scene that you watch when they're introduced to the TNG crew. Spencer.
I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed in this scene. Visually, it's awesome. However, like through the whole story arc of Star Trek, Star Trek period, is that they're always out to look for new life forms and new planets. And
they're sitting here digging around.
Exactly.
They're sitting here
sticking around.
All to show that Worf has now reached the rank of Lieutenant Commander. That's the whole point of the scene, is to show you that Worf, played by Michael Dorn, who was an undiscovered country, by the way, playing his grandfather. In this movie, he plays Worf, the Worf that we now love and know. He plays him, and it's all about his ranking to Lieutenant Commander. That's the whole point of this scene. And who was really pushing for this scene? It was I'll tell you right now.
Data.
No, it wasn't Data. I think it was Ronald Moore that was really pushing, because he really wanted this scene to get done and shot, and he really, really wanted it. Oh, the director of the movie, Carson really pushed. Yeah, he really wanted this scene because he didn't want it to go away. But they shot it in 5 days, and like the producers were like, dude, we got to move on.
Yeah.
He goes, no,
you can tell. Like visually it's beautiful, but none of it really works for me. And like it just shows me like, here's the new generation. We're a bunch of slackers. And I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to be inspired by after that last crew that was in charge of the Enterprise. Like, this is what they have to look forward to in the 23rd century. It's blasphemous.
They're on the holodeck, and by the way, this is the shows you where you watch Star Trek 1 all the way up through 6, and then you go right into this movie, and the first thing you see is this crew that's on a ship after you see everyone in space. If you had no idea or ever watched Star Trek Next Generation, you would be a little jarred by this. You'd be a little jarred by this. Go, what's happening?
Very jarred.
And then it's not until the point that you see the holodeck arch show up, you go, okay, they're in a thing like a simulation. Okay, it like, yeah, you're right. They're not exploring new life in new forms. If the scene started off like them wrapping up an escort mission or exploring, it would have been great. But they start with this ceremony to play around with a rank up, promotion.
And like, how much greater would it be if they showed it on the ship with a party going on, have a whole room full of characters and all the characters that are going to actually have a part in this movie, and have little conversations between them and understand the chemistry of how certain pairs work and then how they work as a group. But instead, it's done on a ship, and it's just like, nobody wants to work today. Nobody wants to discover new life. Nobody wants to make a connection with the next species of the universe.
And then you're right, but you do get that one good arc of the beginning arc of Data's story, where after he pushes Beverly Crusher, played by Gates McFadden.
Yeah, nice lady.
Puts, you know what? Classically beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Classically beautiful.
Not trying too hard. Just gives it what it's got, and you're like, wow, that's all around impressive.
She's all around. I think she's a very attractive woman. But you get the starting of that arc for Data, and Data, who's an android.
Yeah. Played
by Brent Spiner. Which
is an interesting transformation too. It's like, you go like, what was that one unique thing you had in the old series?
Spock.
It was like, yes. And in this one, we went from like a foreign species to a AI.
Yeah. We get to this android AI named Data. Not Lore. Data.
And what's his plot in this movie?
Well, he has a personal arc that he goes through because if you don't know from the Next Generation, you wouldn't know that he wants to be more human. And that's
which they kind of deliver off the bat quite well.
Which they do. You're right, because when he puts the chip in, that's the start. That's like, oh, he wants to. You get that whole. All right, he's an android that wants to know what emotions are like, and goes ahead and installs that chip so he can have a better understanding of human emotions. Finally, which I haven't watched the episode where he gets that. Haven't. Got it. Yeah.
But in this movie, you got to see the chip implanted into him.
Right. Which, once again, you got to hand it to I love the special effects in this. This is great. When they just pop his head open, he's got all the lights going on. They put it into his USB port.
No, it was. You know what? It worked out pretty nice in the show, but like, it works out really well
in the movie. It really does show.
It does. It's nice. And here's the thing, I love everything that's going on with that subplot with like Data and everything.
It's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Emotions. Exactly. But then again, it's like that one subplot does not fit in with the wedge of this whole movie, which feels like it's in a different galaxy altogether.
Yeah, and I really do get that. It's not until when you get to when they reintroduce Sauron in this film that you start going, oh, that's
in the present time.
In the present time, when they get back to Sauron after they go to explore that outpost that's been attacked.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, so now here we go. We're back to Star Trek things. I mean, granted, you already had these little subplots, which includes the death of Robert Picard and Rene Picard, which is Captain Jean-Luc Picard, brother and nephew respectively. And that's what he has this whole arc about. That's it. I got less days ahead of me than I have more behind me. He has that whole kind of dialogue.
You're absolutely right about that. And the one thing that bothered me is that we go from the opening scene of losing, or the appearance of losing Kirk.
Uh-huh.
And then the next scene is another scene at the ultimate end about a loss of someone. So like we get kind of two somber like takes or scenes. We get two somber scenes, and it's just like, all right, I'm kind of like really down on Star Trek. I've never felt this depressed. Like, what's the next scene about? Oh, we found this abandoned thing, and here's Malcolm McDowell again. And it's just like it
And two
keeps
dead
getting a little
Romulans.
heady on the downers. It gets a little heady on the downers where I'm just like, why am I watching this again?
I know, for real. It's not until like you get to that point where Soren, has this race against time, who keeps talking about how he needs to get back. His research is important, but Jean-Luc, Captain Picard, tells him no,
Yeah.
strong arm. You're gonna wait till we're freaking done, guy.
Time is the fire that we burn.
Well said. And then you get that whole scene with when you get even Jean-Luc Picard's arc is actually kind of it fizzles out at some point in the movie.
I don't care for it.
Yeah, me neither. And then the fact that you go, all right,
And then,
you have to kill
go
off
ahead.
the Picard family to get to this.
And then, but it's something to show when he has to enter into the Nexus.
The Nexus, right?
And it's
that's the
supposed
only
to be
reason
like
why.
It's supposed to be the thing that fools him the most and keeps him like in that state for a long period of time. And yet it's just like he gets this Charles Dickens-esque Christmas scene. And he's
so
got
weird.
these kids that he doesn't have, wife that he doesn't have, or at least it's what we're led, or at least that's my understanding from this particular film. And then after that, you see the brother and you see the nephew, and then it's just like all of a sudden for that he was like, well, this doesn't make sense. And then Whoopi Goldberg's character appears. It's just like he came out of it too quickly. And the same thing could be said about like Kirk's character. Like they both come out of their scenarios of the Nexus too quickly. Where I'm just like, the build up to it was made to feel like it was
going to be this
more.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because you get this build up, especially because Gannon talks about it, how she was on that ship, the Elronian ship, Laku, and was there. And it was in the Nexus and felt complete joy, and it was a way to explain her character on this show. And so you have this
her origin of power too.
Yeah, her origin of power, and you have this long build up. I mean, even the build up to V'ger was way better than this. Because when you got to V'ger, you went, oh, it's a probe from Earth coming back. Here it goes. He's in a Dickinson Christmas. If it was him as Detective Dixon with a wife and kids, that would have been more believable. Because Jean-Luc Picard has talked about how he has always enjoyed that era of San Francisco.
And it's amazing that the people behind the screen, the people behind the camera, the writers, the producers, the directors, are all part of the TV series, and yet somehow they missed the ball on that.
Yeah, the story got rewritten, as all movies, all scripts often do, and who knows what would have been originally what the Nexus is. And then the other thing for Captain Kirk was the whole, what was it called? He's chopping wood. He's got his dog back. His dog is back to life that he's thought has been dead. He's got the one girl that's upstairs.
Great.
And that's his complete joy.
That first those 2.5 minutes when Picard meets him, I'm in complete joy. It seems like the most rewatchable scene. It also seems like the most iconic scene. There's so many little Easter eggs going on in that scene, from outside of him chopping wood to the inside of his cabin, or whatever you want to call it.
You see a lot of his treasures or a lot of his souvenirs from missions prior, including the bat'leth that was hanging over a mantle.
Yes, and that's right behind, I think, Picard's character when he's talking with Kirk. Yeah, And then like the whole idea with the space with the special eggs and the cooking, and that's what I always love. It's just it was nice, it was clean, it was cut, it was beautiful. However, the writing was really limp in that scene because it's not like the exposition of like Pat of Jean-Luc Picard telling Kirk when he needs to go to, and then Kirk throughout most of this film has like he's just like I never see him just go with the flow like he does with anything else in the previous movies. He's just like,
It was a little too easy.
Yeah, like he had no leadership. He had no leadership in this film, and I was like, this isn't the Kirk I know. This Kirk has to have more leadership. The Kirk I know would have said something to the captain before the captain would have asked for him in the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, he has that one. At the beginning of this movie. Okay, yeah.
In the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
And then in this one, he's just like, oh, well, like, whatever. And then his whole little shtick is like, who's to argue with the captain? It's like, you never said that before. I don't think I get so upset, but like I feel like Captain Kirk is like a little bit of a cuck in this movie, or a beta.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, because when you get to this point where you have Jean-Luc Picard not squaring off, but on the same screen as James T. Kirk, you would have expected that it makes sense to have him in a place that exists outside of time, right? It's a time. It should have been a timeless scene, and they just you're right. It limps. It misses the mark. It misses the target by that much.
All in the writing. All in the writing.
It should have been a really great scene where two legendary men meet on screen for the first time. And they give us that whole thing. It was so weird. And then, I mean, don't get me wrong,
but it's all we can take away. It's all we can take away.
But when you get James Kirk,
it's like having a moose bouche, and you're like, I want more of this. Like, no, that's all you get.
No, you're not. It's all you get. You get this tapas plate full of it, and that is it. No refills.
Exactly.
Here's your check. Leave. But
and then the whole. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one part that I do like is when James T. Kirk hears about that, he knows that he's in the Nexus and things are not right, and then he's told that there's something that's happening to the current crew of the Enterprise. And then when he lists these things off, and he has this revelation that, wait a minute, I'm in a place where I'm always going to be doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm not in a captain's chair. I'm not in a place where the risks are high and death is a possibility when the stakes are high and the chips are on the table. And he has that revelation, this epiphany, and he wants to go back at it again and help Captain Picard, help him with diverting or stopping this trilithium nuclear warhead from flying into the sun, which would ultimately destroy that solar system along with his crew. And he goes in, and I mean, I like that line, because I go, all right, that's the Kirk I know from the last 6 movies. But to get to that point, it's still, even so, was still a little weak.
Well, you're absolutely right. And there's something that you said in there that really, really resonated with me. And it's like the whole idea with like the writing being limp, Kirk just kind of going out like just being not as enthusiastic, and like how in the Nexus, his whole idea of being someplace is like at his cabin talking to his lady. And it's like, we all know Captain Kirk is the guy who loves to be in the Enterprise. He's the guy who likes to be the captain of the ship. Like, he loves to be a leader. And then somehow we got this cabin scene. Like, it has no sense. And I think part of the reason why they had to write into that kind of corner is because nobody from the original cast wanted to come back for this.
Yeah.
Because imagine if you could get the original cast and then have Picard like in the middle of that kind of scenery. Like, you would just be boggled. You'd be like, what is going on? Oh, man. Like, it would have been historic. It would have been historic for cinephiles.
Yeah, would have been great, but we ended up getting what we get, which leads to the final climax of the film is when he comes back into the point right before he launches the where Mako Soren is about to launch the trilithium warhead, and he's stopped by both James T. Kirk and Picard. And it's a great scene. It plays out well with Kirk fighting Soren and then leading up to Kirk's final sacrifice that saves this solar system, that saves the crew of the Enterprise, everything. And it's in its own way, it's poetic because that's the way he wants to go out. He doesn't want to die of old age, chopping fucking wood, riding on horses.
He said that in like, what was it, 5?
Yeah.
When he had the air boots. And he was like, when he was camping with the 2 guys, he goes, listen, I know I'm never going to die because I'm always going to have you guys by my side.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that them not being by his side, like death has a serious, factor.
Right.
And this was his factor. And I got to admit, like, I this is the death of Captain Kirk. And I have to say, the third act in itself, the setting for it, was a complete lackluster. Because I wanted something more for the death. And the way they had it staged out, like, you can make that a pretty good death for Captain Kirk. But at the same time, the geography of that setting of where they wanted to do that whole epic scene was so discombobulating. It's just like I never had any emotional risk for what was going on in that final battle.
Yep. I agree.
And cool. And and I mean, when you find like the whole idea that Kirk would go and grab the thing to decloak the missile and stuff like that, that is a Kirk thing to do. It's just, you spend so much money on the Enterprise separating and turning it into its own saucer and then crash landing into a planet for probably a good 4 to 5 minutes. That whole scene plays out. Mm-hmm. But you can't give me a solid set to watch my favorite captain probably in all of history. Look at me, I'm hitting the table so much, like my
the camera keeps moving
up.
Yeah.
It's just like, this movie has always been not exactly comfortable to watch, but not exactly great, like not exactly painful to watch. But there was always something that was a thorn in this movie that I could never place. And what placed for me finally was the third act and the whole structure of how this whole area goes down with Picard's future crew dying because of this planet dying.
Yeah.
And then after that, like Kirk's death. And like the stakes are like, we're up in the rocks. This is a nice little homage to another few Star Trek films. And it's like, yeah, they got that right. You did it.
Pat yourself on the back, buddy. You got it. Nailed it, Rick. Nailed it, Ronald. Nailed it, Carson. Nailed it, Brandon.
These guys, I'm telling you, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, not yet. To a degree, you are not wrong.
To a degree, I am not wrong. It's like I agree with you, but don't count me on that. Don't put me all in on that.
I'm sure someone can give you a very good counter argument or a good counter argument to it.
I would love to hear it.
I would love to hear it too, because I would love.
And I don't mean that sarcastically. Like, please, I would love to be educated.
Visit Spencer on Letterboxd and get together with him and talk about movies with him, guys.
Rufio 86, thank you, Lieutenant.
Rufio 86, guys.
Rufio 86, that's me. Spencer Russ, Rufio 86. I love to talk. I'll talk movies with you all day. It's the only thing I love to do. After movies, I can't talk. I'm an incel.
Wait, what? Did you just say you're an incel?
Like what I mean is, like, I don't. Yes, I like to converse and speak and talk.
Yeah, I think I got what you meant.
But like most of the time, I'm just like indoors, being like, oh, I'm just like, a little latchkey kid watching my movies, playing my video games, like that.
You could have just said shut it, but you went with incel.
I could, yeah. I
You
don't
know what?
know.
And I pay you respect for doing that.
For verbalizing it in that way.
Yeah. I'll give it to you.
Listen, I'm an old fossil, so like maybe I didn't use it in the best term possible, but I should have just kept it a latchkey kid.
Hey, I prefer, you know what? You did you had a thought, you went with it, and I respect that.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Listen, you can't lose what you don't. You got. Wait, hold on. You gotta put it all in. That's all I'm saying.
All in.
All in. If you ain't going all in, you're not living.
And Captain Kirk knew that.
Captain Kirk knew that, but not in this film. Not in this goddamn film. I had to watch Picard, the bald son of a bitch, be the hero of this film, and I wasn't even that enthusiastic about it. Nothing about this film had any emotional stake for me.
No, it really didn't, and that's why I always, if just getting right down to my thoughts on this movie after watching it, I will tell you that it's a solid but very long episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I am not thrilled with The Next Generation.
With nice subplots, and arcs, character arcs, and not even a lot. We're talking literally 2 arcs, because I don't really give much of a crap about the arc they put in for Picard, because it kind of just, like I said, it fizzles out. Yes, it's only there to
it gets solved in the second act, and it's only a connecting point to get to Kirk, which is bullshit.
Well, yeah, which was just a little bit of a, I think the term is MacGuffin. And I mean, Generations is not a movie.
Or Chekhov's Gone.
For real. But overall, this is not a movie I was excited about. I was never on the edge of my seat. It's not a very adventurous movie. But I mean, I like it, but here's the best way to really put it to it. It's a safe movie, and it plays it too safe.
Yeah.
It's
well said.
Well
said. It's too safe of a movie. You have the passing of a torch in this film, and they're so worried about getting it wrong that the fact that they overthought this is what made it wrong.
Yes. All right. Any more thoughts on the movie, or do you want to move on to rankings?
One more thing.
Go for it.
I just want one more thing. Costume design, okay?
Great costume design.
Wait, X that. I got one more thing to say that's really cool.
Hit me with it, baby.
The Klingons, the Bird of Prey ship. Hotties. I really dug the fact that this was the first time we actually saw a female captain, and not just one female captain, but like we actually saw like the number 1 be a female, and I was just like, this is great. Right, left, they're both females. Like, this is such a good next step forward in Star Trek. And that's what Star Trek's always been meant, was to open up the boundaries.
And these are
push the boundaries.
And these are 2 characters that actually were in another episode for Star Trek, which is at the end of season 4, beginning of season 5, one of the 2. It's one of those things where it's a season finale as the first part, and the second part is the season premiere for next season. I think it was season 4 and 5.
Oh, they did that with the Borg too.
Right, they did that with the Borg for season 2 and 3. Yes, this is a thing from season 3 and 4. There you go. That's what it was. Okay, and these characters were in that story. It was called Redemption 1 and 2. It is a season finale and season premiere to end off and begin a new season for Star Trek: The Next Generation. And they brought them back for this movie, which I thought was really great. And I haven't watched that episode yet. I'm still mid season 3.
I'll watch it now.
You should watch it.
I love these two. The Klingon women, they were in charge. I was like, wow, you really just like broke the demographic on everything. And I love it. Let me see where you could go.
That would have been.
Sadly to say, they didn't get much in the film.
You didn't get much in film. And you know what the funny thing is? I got a lot of Cruise vibes from them.
you got a lot of crude fries from them.
I got-
Klingons are a crude race to begin with, or a crude species to begin with.
Right, they're like that crude type because they're pirates. They want to dominate the
I
empire.
love it.
That's
Best
what
pirates in the
that was what
galaxy.
that's why I dog. I wish you got. You're right. Wish you got more of them.
Was she like give me like here's the thing, like there were too much of like, oh, we're taking care of this Michael
Soren
Soren guy. We're taking care of this Soren
missiles.
guy. Yeah, and it's just like, and we took down the Enterprise. Like, I already saw the Enterprise get taken down before, and it's not as glorious as this. Is it more visually stimulating? I'll give it that. But the emotional stake of losing the Enterprise, no stake of
wasn't
chips
there.
were in there. It wasn't there.
There was no stakes in it. I mean, and it was a pretty mediocre space battle because I mean, don't get me wrong, to watch
Nicholas Myers does the best ones up to this film so
I
far.
completely agree. If you had to go to starship battles, you definitely have Rathacon, and undiscovered country, and they did. And oh yeah, and of course, Search for Spock. Those three movies do such a great job with the whole like starship battles. Fantastic. It was like just a great starship submarine like battle. I loved it. This
It
one's
was a swashbuckling adventure.
Call that Flynn. Give me the head to Peter Pan.
I feel sorry for the person that's edited that send out.
All right.
Rankings.
Hit me with your rankings, buddy. You go first.
You know what? Give me 1 second to load it up, and as I'm trying to load it up, I'm just going to keep on talking about Star Trek because I think it's, I think out of all the franchises that I overlooked in my childhood, this is probably my biggest regret because there's so much harmony in this film and happiness that like I should have just had like when I was younger, but unfortunately I didn't.
You have it now with me.
I have it now with you, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful. All right, so my number 1, Wrath of Khan. Number 2, Undiscovered Country. That should say a lot about Nicholas Myers directing in a Star Trek film, period.
Okay.
Third is actually Star Trek, The Search for Spock.
Okay.
4 is Star Trek, The Voyage Home. My number 5, the motion picture. Number 6, Generations. And then finally last is actually Star Trek, The Final Frontier.
All right. So
what is yours, Lieutenant Leon?
Boom. Rathacon number 1. At number 2, The Voyage Home, because just the plot line of having whales save the world is just fantastic to me. 3,
it's a great stoner film without actually being a stoner film.
Right? The Search for Spock at number 3. Number 4, The Undiscovered Country, which is just it is a very great film. And maybe
why? I'm sorry. Why is it at that rank?
You know what?
That I criticize. I'm curious.
Actually, I would put it to you that Search for Spock and Undiscovered Country are such a tie.
I could see that as a bystander, how that could be such a tie because like they both have a lot of weight to them, but they're not so self-serious like the other films.
Right. And I feel like I should go back and rewatch the two of them and just see how they stack up from, Star Trek 3 to Star Trek 6. How do they stack? Just maybe watch them again in a new unit at a time.
George Plummer going up against Christopher Lloyd. Tell me how that works out.
I kind of want to give it to Cruge just because like he's a very tenacious character.
Who? The
Cruge. Cruge.
Who's Cruge?
Am I saying it? Isn't it Cruge? The played by Christopher Lloyd?
Oh, the character name.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay, good.
I apologize.
So number 4, Undiscovered Country. Number 5, Galaxy Quest. Number 6,
Oh, we were supposed to put Galaxy Quest in this mix.
I threw it in there for shits and giggles. You know what? I'll take it out.
No. Add it in. I'm going to say this. I'm going to just say this. Anybody who feels like replaying what I said before is the ranking, just wedge in Galaxy Quest in between Undiscovered Country and Star Trek: The Search for Spock.
And just shove it right there.
Right there. Look at you. I like it.
Just shove it right in there, guys.
Whoa. Let's not get too vulgar. This is a Star Trek franchise.
All right, number 5, Galaxy Quest. 6, you know what? After talking to you more and more, I'm gonna switch I was gonna say number 6, Generations, number 7, the motion picture, but now I'm gonna switch it back. I'm gonna actually switch it to number 6 being the motion picture, and then Generations being number 7, and dead last, I am so sorry, Bill, Final Frontier.
Final Frontier. That's great. So we both had the same last 3. The first, we both had the same first, and everything else is whatever.
It's whatever, baby.
Dude, it's been fun, man. I love doing this shit with you.
We got 3 more. Well, technically, we got more movies, but we're gonna pause after the 10th movie so we could do our Halloween special. We're a little behind, so we're gonna hit that. We're gonna do these next 3 movies, which the next one up in line is First Contact, which is actually the first Star Trek film I ever watched in theaters.
So next week the next 2 weeks are we gonna go 2 for 2. That way we're eyed up for October.
Yeah, we might have to do a double feature, guys. Maybe we just like give you the 9th and 10th movies in 1 week. We can always talk to our producer about that to get that other, so we can just wrap up the September really as quickly as we can, so we can move into our sci-fi horror for Halloween. And then
we have a great lineup for you. We're not going to say anything yet because we'd rather make it a treat.
Let me give you a hint. It rhymes with Malcolty. You'll figure it out, okay? It rhymes with Malcolty. And that's a word I made up. You okay?
Can I get the origin of the word, please?
Oh, yes, the derivation of the word Malcolty. Okay, it is it's Latin, comes from Malchus, Greek, but then it goes into Sanskrit, Malkistish, which means fuck off, Spencer. There you go. Wow. Crazy. First known use BC. Crazy. Okay. Right before Jesus was born.
You hear that from God's lips to our networks before Jesus was born.
Right here, guys. Just for you. Right here.
By the way, those dentures are fucking implants, just so everyone knows.
I know this one right here particularly is a screw in. Here,
you hear that? You screwed it in. You took somebody else's tooth out of bar and screwed it in.
I did actually. I won it in a fight. And I said, put this in my mouth to the dentist the next day.
Can you tell everybody? Can I tell everybody who you lost to? Because I think it would be a great honor.
What do you want to talk about?
I said, can I tell who lost their tooth to you?
Yeah, go for it.
Everybody. I've seen video. I've never seen it in person because I didn't know this gentleman, like Lieutenant Leon, until like 6 months ago. But the video showed me Lieutenant Leon was butt whooping Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I have to admit, I didn't believe it until I saw it.
You may be the mostly from Brussels. But I'm the Cuban. Wow!
Shit! I'm blind from looking at muscles.
I'm from the Power 5 from the 305. That was terrible. I'm out.
I'm out. I'm never wearing these 3D glasses again because you are just protruding too much onto my screen. And I mean that in a good way. But my eyes can't handle it anymore. So I'm developing a headache right now.
It's so hot. I'm literally. I have so much sweat forming in my back right now, and inside of my bandana. I'm so sweaty right now. My house is over 30 degrees at this point.
You should just toss ice everywhere in your place. Get bags of ice and just toss it everywhere. Be like, hey, Mr. Guest attendant, can I get 2 sleeves of ice? I want it tossed everywhere in my plaid. In my pad, period.
You don't even, first of all, why are you even questioning me? Second of all, why is your name Muhammad? You're fucking white. I don't get it. Why is my gas station attendant white named Muhammad? I don't get it. On that note.
On that note, where gas prices are $4.49 a gallon.
Whoa, it's $3.09 here.
No, I'm kidding. I've never seen a $4.49 price. I just wanted to say that to be like, wow, my gas prices aren't that high.
My gas prices are actually quite reasonable by that comparison.
By the way, I want to dedicate this episode to Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald, hilarious guy, making God laugh in heaven.
Exactly. If anybody doesn't know who Norm Macdonald is, go on YouTube, go check it out. Norm Macdonald. Go check out Norm Macdonald on Death. Funny. You want to see something funnier? Go watch Norm Macdonald doing Weekend Update on SNL.
Oh,
I guarantee those OJ jokes are terrific. And terrific isn't funny, not terrific that OJ's terrific.
Don't want that implication in there.
No, I had to set it clear.
Fair enough. All right, sign us off, Spencer.
All right. Captain Spencer, disappointed with this film, but signing off to the crew and Lieutenant Leon.
Make it so, number 2.